Welcome back, Defenders. The destruction of Russia's oil industry continues. Ukrainian drones reach major war-funding oil refinery 1,300 kilometers deep inside Russia for the second time in a week. The Gazprom Salavat facility in Bashkortostan generates billions of rubles yearly, helping Moscow to sustain military operations in Ukraine. And now it's on fire. I'll link the video down below, but this is a massive oil refinery fire. Russia has one of these about once a week. And this is where this refinery is located, more than 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine's border in Bashkortostan. And this refinery had protection. This is a satellite image showing drone cages. I imagine this refinery also had air defense crews. But it doesn't matter. Ukraine's going to get them. Ukraine is going to get them all eventually if Russia does not stop this war. So let's go to the war map. This is what I'm now calling the war map. And this was Russia's 10th largest refinery. You can see Gazprom Salavat. This refinery produced over 10 million tons of oil products per year, 1,300 kilometers from the border. Ukraine struck it once in 2024, again last week, and then again today. This was a big hit. Additionally, Russia announced that they shut down the Astrakhan gas plant. They've halted operations after a drone strike from last week. Russia's Astrakhan gas processing plant, controlled by Gazprom, halted production of motor fuel on September 22nd after a fire caused by a drone attack. This is relevant because in 2024, the plant processed 1.8 million tons of stable condensate, producing 800,000 tons of gasoline, 600,000 tons of diesel, and 300,000 tons of fuel oil, which they're not getting now because the plant has been shut down. In addition, successfully, Ukraine has gone after some pumping stations. They're going after a different pipeline. This is the Kubyashev-Tikhoratsk oil pipeline, and they blew up 2 pumping stations. Here's the satellite images with the firm's data showing there was a drone strike and a fire. And I had no clue there were so many pumping stations in Russia. I knew they had pumping stations, but I didn't realize how common and frequent they were. So this map is a little weird. This is Ukraine, this is Crimea, this is the Black Sea, this is Krasnodar. And the 2 pumping stations that were destroyed are located right here. So they're trying to shut down this pipeline feeding oil products to the Black Sea. This is the port city of Novorossiysk. We'll talk about that in a second. But this pipeline has been damaged. And this pipeline, unfortunately, begins in Kazakhstan. So I do believe Kazakhstan uses this pipeline to get their energy exports out to the Black Sea. But Russia also uses it. Russia also financially benefits from it, so sorry, Kazakhstan, this pipeline has to go for now. Here's the result. Russian fuel crisis escalates as half of gas stations in occupied Crimea halt gasoline sales. Kremlin extends export ban. Russian-occupied Crimea faces empty pumps and shuttered stations as its roads are falling silent under the weight of war. I don't think anyone is going to be able to remain in Crimea by this winter. This is how bad the supply situation is getting. So here is the coastline for Crimea, so you know this is the correct location. This is a Russian driving around trying to fill up his car, and he can't because all the gas stations in Crimea are reading 0 for civilian gasoline. And this is not just Crimea. This is happening in every city now. Let me play for you a couple of these clips of Russians panicking about a fuel shortage nationwide.
Так, специально объездил заправки ТЭС Атан. Бензина по городу нету никакого, есть только дизель. На Севастопольскую ЗС завезли по 83,5 пятого. Вот это все очередь туда, на заправку. Скорее всего, его сейчас все скупят. Привезли 2 тягача.
This Russian is driving around showing that there's a huge fuel line to fill up your car, and he's not going to make it. His tank is already on empty with the gas light on. Here's another video. I think this one is in the city of Belgorod, and this is another confused Russian who doesn't understand why he can't fill up his car.
Ситуация с бензином, короче, не меняется. 100-го нету, 95-го нету, даже 92-го нету. Короче, остался только дизель есть. У меня запас хода всего лишь там 40 километров осталось, и все. Так что, слушайте, бензина в Белгороде нету.
So that is a Russian reporting on the ground in Belgorod. They don't have any gasoline. There's only about 40 kilometers left of driving in his tank, and then he's not going to be able to drive anymore. These videos are going viral all across the internet, showing gasoline lines for stations that still have gasoline, and then just empty boards. People unable to fill up their car at various cities across the country. Here's a local TV report. This is what they're reporting to their citizens on local Russian TV stations. Let me read this for you. We are receiving reports from different districts of the region that there are problems with gasoline. Either there is no gasoline at gas stations at all, or prices have risen significantly. We came to one of the gas stations in the city of Zerzinsk, and as we can see, the prices have really increased. 92 gasoline costs 71 rubles. 95 gasoline costs 74 rubles. Before the increase, we sold 92 gasoline for 58 rubles. Now it's 71. Our management wrote a letter with an explanation so that people understand this is not our whim. No one will work at a loss. Moreover, there are rumors that there is simply no gasoline and that they don't give it to us. We don't have the 95 gasoline. There is no fuel supply. Has your price increased on the 92? It went up a little. It was 63 and it became 65. They say it's a lack of gasoline, and in connection with what? They didn't say anything. No, they don't bring enough gasoline, not yet. It's happening all over the city. This is not only at our gas stations. All gas stations are like this. Our customers tell us there is no gasoline at both Champion and Lukoil. We listen to what customers tell us. I think our gasoline prices are still normal, acceptable in comparison to others. Of course, do you have both the 92 and 95? For now we do. But are they delivering less? It's less. Customers come and say that Salida doesn't have the 92 gasoline. There was no gasoline at Lukoil for 2 days. What can people who are very dependent on their cars do? This is all across Russia. Shortages and price increases. And yes, Russians are going to have to stop driving their cars because Putin started a completely unnecessary war. And it's going to get worse. Ukraine hits Black Sea fleet in Novorossiysk as chaos reported across Russian Black Sea regions. So, during the daytime, Ukraine launched a drone attack against Novorossiysk and Tuapse. Novorossiysk is basically the backup for Russia's Black Sea fleet. They had to abandon Sevastopol because they couldn't protect their ships. Famously, that submarine in dry dock got blown up. There is a video of the attack on Novorossiysk. I think most of the drone boats were successfully destroyed. But the more significant attack happened in Tuapse. Novorossiysk is located right here, and there's another port and a loading terminal, this is what Ukraine was targeting, in Tuapse. This is what this, basically it's a pier where oil ships will dock, and apparently when a shadow fleet tanker fills up, it takes days to fill up the ship. This pier is for loading grain and agricultural products. This pier is meant for loading shadow fleet tankers. So this video is incredible. Someone captured the drone attack on the oil pier, and I'm going to play as much of the video as I can up until the explosion. For the YouTube censors, this is an unmanned drone boat. Nobody was harmed, nobody was injured.
катер, баф-порт заплыл, смотри. Охренеть. Охренеть. Посмотри, вот с корабля работают. Конченые вафледроны. Отходи, как снимаю. Кадр уже отойди, говорю. Сейчас будет баба. Сейчас он попадет. Да, уже почти вот он. Сейчас все в панике, наверное, убегают с этого. Он прям вот тут уже. Идет. Сейчас будет, сейчас. Чуть-чуть осталось. Смотри, вбили, смотри, сейчас будет прилет.
And then there's a moment of impact. Ukraine successfully knocked this oil terminal pier offline. Huge explosion. I'll link the video down below. In addition, this was in Novorossiysk. There's just lots of videos online of these drone boats coming in broad daylight. You've got vacationers trying to enjoy their vacation, taking cell phone video. So perhaps Ukraine deliberately did this during the daytime to let ordinary Russians know what is happening. They want these clips to be seen and to go viral. Will it make a difference? I don't know. Let's follow up on some other stories. In my last video, I mentioned this resort on the Crimean coastline. Russian FSB and military officers were using it as a barracks. We didn't have any pictures or videos, but a Russian released a video of what this resort now looks like after a Ukrainian drone attack. It was confirmed that at least 3 Russian military officers were killed, but this resort was destroyed. That's what happens when you let your military officers use it. In addition, Crimea basically at this point is defenseless. Whatever Ukraine wants to destroy on this peninsula, they are striking at will. What I think is happening is Ukraine has perfected these drone boat aircraft carriers. Ukraine is launching drone boats that then launch FPV drones, and Russia can't counter them, Russia can't detect them, Russia can't destroy them. So last night, 2 Russian An-26 planes were destroyed in addition to another coastal radar. This is what the An-26 looks like. This is basically a military transport plane, and Ukraine released the video. So the video will first show a Ukrainian drone hitting a coastal radar tower, and then we've got the FPV video. That's the first plane that was destroyed. You then have the next FPV coming in, and you can see the first plane is clearly on fire, and then the second plane is also struck. This is incredible. How can Russia leave anything of value on the Crimean Peninsula when Ukraine has perfected this technology? This is basically every 48 hours. Some kind of air defense system, radar, or plane on the Crimean Peninsula is being destroyed in the exact same manner. And Ukraine releases the video to just embarrass the Russians. There were also some other drone attacks I want to quick mention. In Kursk, an electrical substation was destroyed. In Belgorod, military positions were targeted. In Volgograd, once again, impacts and explosions of some kind. An industrial facility was hit. In Rostov, explosions and air defense activity. This is Ukraine striking back. After 3 years of these missile and drone attacks against civilian cities by the Russians, Ukraine now has the industrial capability to produce their own drones and missiles to fight back on Russian territory. This is devastating. Ukraine also got another plane. Ukraine shoots down Russian Su-34 bomber over Zaporizhia. This was the general area where the plane went down. We don't have any pictures or videos, but Russia confirmed it. This is the Russian Telegram channel fighter bomber, and anytime one of Russia's pilots gets killed, this guy always seems to confirm it, so it happened. That's Ukraine's winning strategy. Defeat the Russian military. Bankrupt Russia. And what are the Russians doing? More terrorist attacks, going after schools and hospitals and churches, coffee shops. Russia unleashes yet another drone barrage on Ukraine. Russia launched 152 drones against Ukraine overnight, targeting Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Kramatorsk. This is still significant. This is horrifying. I've been making these videos, watching these drone attacks now for 3 years. 3 years. Russian attack kills 7, injures 41 over the past day. But where are the results? What is Russia's plan? How does this ever equate to a victory when all they're doing is committing acts of terrorism? And this video is heartbreaking. Russian commander orders his troops to kill civilians in frontline villages. Soldiers execute parents and then take their daughter captive as a human shield. Russian troops are still holding the young girl. I'll link the video down below, but Ukrainian surveillance drones captured the entire thing, and they have the radio communication intercepts on top of the video. So these Russian troops entered a frontline village near Kramatorsk, and their commander is saying, kill all civilians. Any civilians you see, shoot them on sight, and if you see children, take the children. So these Russian soldiers kill this girl's parents, and then they scoop up the little girl and take off with her. Probably to send her to Russia to a re-education camp, Russify her and teach her to hate Ukraine. This is who the Russian soldiers are. This is who the Russian military is. They're never going to change. They're never going to change until they're resoundingly defeated. All right, the political news. When I made my last YouTube video, Donald Trump was at the UN General Assembly, and he hadn't sent out this tweet yet. So if you've seen the tweets from Donald Trump, if you've read it, yes, of course, it's all good news. We'll go through the headlines, because this is kind of a morale boost. A paper tiger, Trump reverses course on Russia, says Ukraine can win. The US president's shift from a brokering role to an endorsement of Ukraine's triumph marks a significant diplomatic turning point. Maybe. Trump says Kyiv can win back all of Ukraine in a major shift. We can't just swap territories. Zelensky says Trump finally understands Ukraine's position. Speaking in an interview with Fox News, Zelensky said he had a good conversation with Trump and believes the US president's position has finally shifted. Yes and no. The language is important. This is incredibly demoralizing for people who support Russia, and it's a boost for example, traditional conservative Republicans who have always supported Ukraine. These people can now be more vocal because Donald Trump has publicly endorsed he thinks Ukraine can win, and he thinks Ukraine can win back all of their territory because Russia's economy is doing so terrible. The real reason why Trump put out this tweet is I think he's tired of being made fun of. He's tired of being criticized. He invited Putin to Alaska and literally gave him the red carpet treatment from our US soldiers. And what did we get? What did Donald Trump get for that Alaska summit? He got nothing. He got embarrassed. The Russians are never going to agree to a ceasefire. They're not going to sign a peace deal. And Putin's not even willing to meet with Zelensky in Turkey or Switzerland or the Middle East or something. Putin has no intention of stopping this war. And all he's done for 9 months is embarrass and humiliate Trump. So there's this. I think Trump is genuinely frustrated that Putin won't do him a favor and help him win a Nobel Peace Prize. But I think what bugged Trump more than the Alaska summit was China's military parade in Beijing, and Xi walking with Kim Jong-un on his left and Putin on his right. Tough guy stuff. Because this is what Donald Trump actually wants. Trump has been flattering and praising all of these dictators for years. And he wants to be the ringleader. He wants the respect and adoration of the Chinese, the Russians, and the North Koreans because they have large militaries. They have hard power. They're tough guys. So the fact that these guys are getting together and having better military parades than America, this upsets Trump. His feelings are hurt that these guys don't want to be his friend. That's the real reason, in my opinion, but whatever. This was an interesting moment. I want to share this clip. Trump was asked, do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft that enter their airspace? And look at Zelensky's face.
Mr. President, do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
That was a rubberneck moment. So Zelensky was not expecting that Trump would endorse shooting down Russian planes. You can see his brow furls and his neck turns, and then he's like, okay, play it cool, guys. Roger that. Poland and Estonia welcome Trump's calls to shoot down Russian jets. This is the Polish foreign minister retweeting this clip, just saying, roger that. And yeah, Russia's been warned. No more of these provocations. No more of the Russians escalating things. If their aircraft deliberately cross into NATO territory and they switched their transponders off, so yes, it was deliberate. Yes, the appropriate action is to shoot down the plane. If the pilot manages to eject, go pick up the pilots and then return them to Russia. But these planes should be shot down when they deliberately violate NATO airspace. The reversal from Trump is one of analysis and not policy. There is no new call for a ceasefire or a peace agreement, no new sanctions, no new deadlines, and no new military support for Ukraine. The only thing that the United States is doing is selling weapons to Europe for profit that they're allowing to give to Ukraine. There's a lot Trump could do that he's just simply not. Trump continues to praise Viktor Orban. Is Trump picking up the phone and calling Orban to tell him to stop buying Russian oil? Is Trump talking to Orban, telling him to stop blocking EU sanctions packages? Trump's not doing that, and he never will. Trump doesn't care. In addition to sanctions, Congress wants to act. If Republicans in Congress put forward a sanctions bill, it would pass with a 3/4 supermajority. But Trump is still telling Republicans in Congress, don't sanction Russia. I still want to do business with Russia in the future. Then there's this. Belarus ignores terms of conditional U.S. cancellation of air industry sanctions. Air industry watchers say now that Belarus can buy U.S. parts and planes legally. Hundreds of Boeing jets in Russia will evade sanctions by getting parts and service from Belarus. We were so close to completely collapsing Russia's air fleet, and then Trump lifted sanctions on Belarus, and now Belarus can buy any parts they want for Boeing and Airbus planes, saving Russia's air fleet. Trump did this. But it still was an interesting tweet. Kremlin rejects Trump's claim that Ukraine can win the war. Solyov on Kremlin State TV is very sad. Here's the latest clip from Russia Media Monitor. I'm going to read for you Solyov's reaction to Trump's tweet. First of all, some of what he said we know and understand ourselves. We have questions that we are often voicing, but usually aren't getting any answers. How many times have we talked about insane lines to get gasoline? There is no gas, and there won't be any. This is what Trump was talking about. Lines for many kilometers. Let's face the truth. How many times did I scream in this studio about bringing our air defense systems to order? Because if you were to look closely, every time there is a blanket airspace closure, planes don't fly. The mobile internet gets cut off. Well, does it help? Based on strikes against our oil refinery facilities and degenerates who regularly post videos, everyone is fine with all of it. Now what? We are being faulted. Zelensky is happily stating that he liberated a bazillion kilometers in Donbass and surrounded 1,000 of our soldiers. These are all lies. These lies will continue until we start having resounding victories. In order to have resounding victories, we need military decisions about conducting our operation. Is it bad for us what Trump said yesterday? It's hurtful. About the paper tiger, about not having any breakthroughs. So about a month and a half ago, Zelensky met with Trump, and Zelensky personally showed clips to Trump of Solovyev making fun of and attacking Trump. So the Kremlin told Solovyev he's not allowed to ever attack Trump again. So the only thing Solovyev can say to respond is, Trump's comments are hurtful. Solovyev's feelings are hurt. And he's right. Nobody takes Russia serious. It's been over a year and a half since they've had some kind of decisive victory. You could say finally capturing the city of Avdiivka. But the rest of these small towns and villages and farm fields, this is irrelevant. The Russians have been threatening to take Pokrovsk for over a year, Konstantinivka for over a year, Liman, Kupiansk. Russia's not making any significant progress in closing these gaps, taking the rest of Donbass, taking the rest of Zaporizhia, retaking the North Bank and Kherson. It's just not going to happen. A couple more stories I want to quick follow up on. Poland lifts border closure with Belarus after Russia and Belarus had their military drills. As soon as Russia's forces pulled back from the border, Poland reopened it, and now China can get their exports into the EU. Canada goes big. 2.6 billion Ukraine aid in just 1 month. Canada committed $92 million for Ukraine's cybersecurity, and this completes their $2.6 billion aid surge. Thank you so much to you fantastic Canadians. Final clip I want to share is from the UN General Assembly. This is once again Poland's foreign minister. And I want to share with you his speech to the General Assembly defending Ukraine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just heard another performance by the Russian ambassador consisting of lies, propaganda, and hypocrisy. He referred to Ukraine as a project. Ukraine is not a project. Ukraine is a country with a longer history than Russia. Ukraine is a member of this body for far longer than the Russian Federation. Ukraine has a history, language, and identity and aspirations all of its own, with borders confirmed several times in treaties by the Russian Federation. The mission of this body, from its foundation, has been to decolonize, not to recolonize.
Continue supporting Ukraine. Russia will be defeated. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.